Welcome to SciMap support video number 2 on how to actually set up your wiring project. Video number 1 covered the general information. Video number 2 we're going to show how to add boards, edit cables and generally move around the software. There is no real set format on how you set up a wiring job. You could place a board on the layout, connect a cable to it, then re-enter the board and put your ways in, or you can put a board in as a general load, connect sub-main cables to them, ascertain your cable sizes, then at a later date import all the data from a floor plan or type in the data at a board level from scratch. So there's no real format on how you can go about this. All we can do is offer guidance on the most effective way of working with the software to suit your own design parameters. So first of all, we can see here we have our menu at the top. We have a whole series of electrical symbols which you can import. So on the Insert Electrical menu, we can see here that we place these appliances on the screen. The first thing you would do is enter a main distribution board, which you can place somewhere above the transformer, filling out the details, filling out the diversity if necessary. The diversity will be calculated from diversity set up on your final distribution boards. So it's best to rely on the diversity you set up at board level to filter to this board, and the load will be applied accordingly. A number of ways can be applied, but it's easier not to apply the number of ways at this stage, which allows you to create a much more concise layout without crossing cables. This will be understood later on when we go into this in more detail. Selecting the preferred breaker type, selecting OK. Now in SciMap the board commands repeat themselves. Every command is repetitive. In order to move on to do something different, or cancel the command, press the escape key and that will cancel the current command. If I wish to enter or edit the board, I can double click on the board and that reveals the board entry details, so I can make some changes. If I make a change and select OK, that change will be retained. If I select cancel, nothing will be retained. If I wish to delete a board, I highlight it with one click on my left hand button of my mouse. The board goes purple. I then press delete on the keyboard. You can see the caption appearing and you delete the board. I do have the ability to undo, so I can bring the board back. Inserting a cable is very simple. Enter the Insert Electrical menu and you will see the Cables option. Select the cable option, click once on the transformer rings, once into the bottom of the board. When creating a wiring schematic, you always go from the top of one load into the bottom of another. You can see the cable entry details. We enter the length of the cable, enter the reference so that when we get our printouts we know what reference this cable is and how it relates to the layout. There is the default cable type, low smoke and fumes, copper XLP armoured. We can change this. This came in from the general information we looked at in video number 1 as a default. I can then set up my preferred breaker range as well. On multiple supplies you will have the ability to turn on and off the transformer. I'll deal with this more later on in a video concerning multiple supplies. We can then access the cable details to give us more information. We have the core types. We can control our CPC, so in this case we have an armoured cable with low smoke and fumes with the armouring as a CPC. Should later on we fail the earth fault calculations, we could run a supplementary to supplement the armouring. We can fix it or let the program calculate it for us. We can run normal. We can run a separate completely, which means we will totally ignore the armouring and only use the separate. Again, the program will calculate this, or we can fix it. We can apply table 54/7, or special allows us to put the size, the K value and the resistance. We can also apply our grouping factors. If our cable is using a buried cable or an ERA derated cable, we can apply that. So for example, on the installation, if I choose to select a cable that may well be IET ground or ERA ground duct or air, I can apply this cable. This reveals the ERA derate button so that once I've provisionally sized my cable, I can put the provisional cable information into the ERA derating calculation. This will then size the overall derating factor, which can be sent back to the cable and reapplied if necessarily, and you may well find that the cable size increases based on how it's arranged in a trench with other cables. You also have the ability to fix your cables at any size and fix the paralleling arrangement. So to model an as-installed system, all cables can emulate the as-installed installation, and that can be totally fixed here. The green signifies that the transformer is switched on for purposes switched on. Moving about the software, it's quite easy. On the view menu, we have the home, which is what we call the home screen. This is what you're looking at here. Zoom all takes us out. You can see here we have 9 screens, 3 by 3. If I wanted to make a much larger project, I could go to the edit menu. I could recall the general information. I can go into defaults, and then I can change the area of the screen. Then when we go to the view menu and select zoom all, I have a much larger area. I can then go to the home screen. A little bit more about moving around the layout. On the view menu, if I want to zoom in, I can use the zoom in option, create a marquee, zoom in. I can then zoom to the previous view. I can pan. If I want to move the entire transformer and its contents to the left, click on the start point, drag, click, drag, let go, and that moves the whole thing over. If I then want to home again, move to the home menu. Zoom out will take me out sequentially until I get to the maximum screen, which is the zoom all. So this screen you see here represents the zoom all. If I go to home, this now represents the home view.